You're listening to Comic Reflections, episode 202. I'm your host, Nicholas Prom.
And I'm Jeff Barnard, High Priest of Anu, and I'm missing in this.
Comic Reflections is brought to you by The Outhousers. You can find our show and many cool articles about nerd culture and other just crap, really, at theouthousers.com. And if you enjoy this program, please subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher. Or Stitcher. One or the other. Please rate and review us on iTunes if you feel so inclined.
Yeah, I like the Outhouser. I was looking at the other night.
No, I was kidding. It is a cool website.
Yeah. I know you were.
I hope they know that. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But the first book we're going to talk about today is Conan the Barbarian, number 10, which is the October of 1971 issue. And the lead story is called Beware the Wrath of Anu, or Anu, however you want to say that. Written by Roy Thomas, penciled by Barry Windsor-Smith, and inked by Sal Buscema.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous.
Buscema.
No.
Buscema.
The drawing.
Yes.
And the art and all of these we're going to be doing today is beautiful.
Yeah.
And the stories are pretty good too.
Yeah.
Except for one. But we'll come to that.
Okay. I'm not the biggest Barry Windsor-Smith fan, but because I prefer John Buscema or Gil Kane on Conan, but Barry Smith's Conan stuff is probably my favorite work of his. So he's just not my favorite Conan artist, I guess.
Right.
But I'm really not into pretty much anything else he's done. So.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Conan in this. Okay. She's an average Conan eye candy / reason to fight / MacGuffin.
Sure, she's a damsel.
Yeah.
Okay. In distress.
He always has one. So.
Sure.
They come to this town. We never find out what the name of it is.
It doesn't matter.
No.
It's always some town.
Yeah. He's hassled by the police. Or the guards at the gate.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, these other two criminals are being chased. So Conan says, "Oh, I'll help them out." And it's a huge fight. And they run off to the Temple of Anu, where the guards cannot follow. Guards can go in there, but I guess thieves can. I'm not sure what's that all about. Excuse me. There's the temple priest is a fence for stolen goods, which which is interesting.
Yeah,
I have never heard of that.
You would think you would be above suspicion, and that's why it's good.
Well, plus the fact that the guards cannot go in there, which is kind of cool.
Right. So it's perfect cover.
All right. So there's two other criminals who they were helping.
Conan was helping?
Yeah. One's an older guy, one's a young guy who falls for Conan's chick, who I don't think he's really seen.
Yeah, this is just with Conan. She's not, like, involved with him. So.
Right. There's a really cool silver spiral in here, and it's just really beautiful. And it's made up of human beings and all this stuff. So, and the priest will do a incantation. It turns into a red bull. So,
it's going to give you wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
And
No.
It's huge.
Yeah. And that bull of Anu, or whatever it is, he manipulates it or whatever.
Right. And he makes it come, makes it go. Alright, so they, so the kids fall in love, and they're going around, let's see, they're stealing a bunch of stuff, and everything's going well, so they get the great idea, let's steal from the temple, which is, it's going to end badly.
Yeah.
Why do they do this?
Because we have to have something, some dramatic thing, some scrape to get out of.
Right.
But yeah, it's a dumb idea. Don't do that.
Yeah. They had a good thing going, but so one of the thieves gets caught. The nice young couple of thieves, they separate from Conan. Conan trying to find out what's going on.
And their other traveling companion, their other thief, is captured and hanged.
Early, and that really makes Conan mad.
Yeah, Conan thought he was going to have a couple days to plan to spring him, You know, he thought it would be a few days before they hung him, but then they decided to hang him right away. And so Conan, finds his, you know, hanged body and swears revenge. And so he's
Right.
going to go get these guys.
Hmm. And so he's going to kill the priest, because the priest is also not only he's a priest, he's a fence, and he's a snitch to the guards.
Right.
So
So
Conan kills him. Well, he takes his amulet, the magical amulet, and the Red Bull appears, and he fights. And a great fight. The bull looks great.
Yeah, and it has hands and stuff, so that should mention it. But because the priest doesn't have the amulet, the bull kills the guy because it has to claim a soul or a life when it's revived or whatever.
Right.
And it takes the priest because he didn't have the amulet to control it. So yeah.
So the god gets bigger and bigger, comes out of the top of the temple, which is kind of cool. And
Yeah.
I did not see this coming at all. I figured that Conan would figure something out to kill him, but a bull goes into the sky, and I don't know if he becomes I don't know what happens.
Becomes one with the universe or something.
Yeah, something.
So I didn't really get it either. But anyway, Conan's able to get away.
He grabs his buddy from the
gibbet.
Yes.
That's where they display the hanged corpse.
Yeah. And he's real sad. And the nice couple, they go away.
Yeah.
All right.
So we have a couple of backup stories, and I think at least this one is a reprint. It's called Men of the Shadows, and it's a reprint from Black Knight #5 from April of 1956, with art penciled by Sid Shores, and inked by Christopher Rule. And yeah.
Beautifully drawn, just kind of stupid. I don't know. It's the Black Knight is kind of like a Scarlet Pimpernel. He pretends to be a fop.
Yeah.
But he's really
dashing and brave.
Yeah, but why? I don't get that. It's sort of, I know it's a
I think it's directly trying to say, hey, let's do some King Arthur and Scarlet Pimpernel, and it's not rocket science here.
Oh,
I
thought it was unnecessary.
Yeah, but I think it's especially in a 50s or earlier kind of context, these things that are like, God, that's ridiculous, or we don't need to do that. They are deemed so by the creators at the time because of just the way things are.
Okay.
In the medium, sorry, I just we've moved away. I think we're moving further and further away from secret identities now, and that's fine. But here, if you're an adventurer with a mask, even if it's in medieval times or whatever, you're gonna do the secret identity bit because reasons.
Yeah. Okay.
And because it's a comic book.
Right. Yeah. It just.
You're right. It would be better if he was just. I would probably also have enjoyed it better if he was just, I'm the Black Knight, I'm going to go do my thing.
Yeah, but he kind of messes it up because he's captured by an earlier version of Robin Hood and the Merry Band.
Right.
And
they're highway robbers, highwaymen, aren't they?
So, yeah, and so he's acting like a fop, and then he kicks the butt with the quarterstaff fighting.
Yeah.
So he's not such a fop, he can fight. So...
well, that'd be a comic, The Fighting Fop.
Yeah, cool. Name my my infantry squadron, the Fighting Fops.
Did you?
No.
Oh.
I wish I had. God.
That's right.
All right. And so there's an evil sheriff of Nottingham. And
why are you so frustrated by this?
I don't know. Is this?
There's nothing original about it.
No, but
is that why?
But the drawing is so good, and that's what's in. If it was just better written, it'd be almost a perfect comic.
Yeah,
and just a little bit better.
I'm trying to think some other guys. Sid Shores did some Black Knight, but I think Joe Maneely, who was even better, and he died tragically. He fell and was hit by a train.
Goodness.
He did some other ones, and I want to say Joe Sinnott as well. All did Black Knight stories, and they're all kind of working in a very similar style. But
yeah.
Stan Lee has said that, if Manili had lived, he thought that he would have been as big a deal as Kirby or Ditko.
Wow.
Now, I think that's probably hyperbole, but I think he would have gone on to do other good work. I mean, he would be remembered with greater significance, maybe like a Don Heck.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have been like a Kirby or Ditko, but
Maybe so.
But yeah, who is to say? Because his life was cut short, and it was really sad because he was killed, and he had just bought a house,
Oh.
and he had a wife and 2 young daughters.
Oh.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, and he was cut down in the prime of his life. I think he was in his 30s.
Wow.
I think. So yeah.
Dang. That's,
Yeah, Joe Manili.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was done by Sid Shores, but
it's beautiful. I love this one panel. Black Knight is holding his ebony blade, and it crosses the gutter into the next panel of something else entirely. And
that is really cool. And this Black Knight, I believe, has some connection lineage-wise to the Black Knight, the supervillain who would fight the Avengers in the original Masters of Evil, and then further, of course, to Dane Whitman, the Black Knight, the hero who joined the Avengers.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's cool. Well, all right. So the Black Knight beats up the sheriff, and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we have another backup story, and this is beautifully put together. It's called The King and the Oak, and it's a Kull the Conqueror story, written by Roy Thomas, it's adapted from a poem about Kull written by Robert E. Howard. So really the words are Howard's.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, in my notes, I was kind of cruel about them.
You were.
I'm sorry, Howard.
But beautiful art by penciled by Marie Severin and inked by her brother John Severin.
Yeah.
And both of whom, of course, from EC Comics. Fame.
Yeah. Actually, if I'd read it, there was a poem composed by. I wasn't impressed with. I'm not a big poet guy anyway. But,
you know what? Poems are nice, but I'm just so bored by them.
Yeah.
I'm like, just write a story, please. You know?
And I'm reading.
Like, a story can have a poem in it. Cool. But I just don't want to sit and read poems. That's so boring.
I don't think I've ever finished the poems in Lord of the Rings, and I've read that book 4 or 5 times. I just sort of. I'm dead. I'm just. I don't know. It's sort of. I don't know. There might be something wrong with me. I just don't like poetry that much. I'm not going to read any long epic poem. That's for dang sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm just uncultured, but I'm a big literature fan. I love books and I love stories, but just tell me a story. Tell me what you're talking about. Don't beat around the bush with this flowery stuff and that's so vague, and that we have to be so interpretive with.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Poems drive me nuts like that. So.
But John.
And they're pretentious.
A lot of them are. The newer ones are even worse.
Yeah.
John Severin is one of my favorite artists. I always liked him.
Oh, he's great. I love especially him and he and Will Elder worked on a lot of war and crime stuff together at EC Comics. They were a great team. And, of course, Marie Severin was the colorist there. And then she went on to Marvel.
He also did Howling Commandos, and I always liked those. It's always looked good.
Yeah. So what happens to Kull in this story?
He meets a tree and beats him up. There's this haunted wood, and he has a dream or something. And I don't know, and he chops the down trees and wakes up and leaves.
Yeah.
That's about it.
But it is beautifully drawn.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah.
All of them, every panel would make a great poster.
Yeah. And what I like about John Severin is he and Wally Wood, you look at them and you see a lot of Hal Foster in their stuff. Yes. And yay, that's good. Hal Foster, Alex Raymond, you know, those guys were the guys that pioneered the adventure strip, and really they kind of were the great precursors to the comic book.
It's a shame that I used to look forward to the comic strip.
Yeah.
Yay, look in there. And now I'm like, oh, let's see what's here. There's a couple. I like Gilbert. And Foxtrot's okay. And I look at Prince Valiant. But
Sure.
I'm not super excited about it, like when I was with Calvin on. But if you're alive in the 10s and 20s, and Crazy Cat and Little Nemo, and what's the one where the kid has a dream every night?
That's Little Nemo.
Little Nemo, yeah.
Yeah.
And Tintin and all that stuff, and it's really the original Popeye comic strips.
Sure, the Thimble Theater.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah. And I mean, comic strips now it's 99.9% gag strips.
Yeah.
And they get just maybe one panel or a short few strip panels. When in the golden era of comic strips, you get a half or a full page on a Sunday anyway. And that allowed the opportunities to do real storytelling. And you had a lot of soap operas and a lot of adventure strips and a lot of things for decades. The comic strip was a very vital medium. In fact, people worked in comic books, hoped often to hopefully I can get a syndicated strip someday. Wow. Because that was where the money was. Now not so.
Yeah. Did you like this? You ever read the Spider-Man comic strip?
Oh, here and there. It also appears in the Comic Shop News. It's a little newsletter that appears every week, and they reprint the Sunday and the weekly strips in that.
I've only seen a few, and I'm unimpressed, but
it's okay. I think what is neat about it is Stan Lee and Larry Lieber do that strip together, brothers.
Really?
Isn't that wonderful? So.
Yeah. All right.
So, but let's talk about our next book. It's Conan the Barbarian, number 33. It's the December of 1973 issue. And the story is called Death and Seven Wizards, written by Roy Thomas, with art by John Buscema and inked by Ernie Chan. Can I look at this, though, for a second?
Sure.
Because this is adapted from the novel Flame Winds by Norval W. Page, which is another sword and sorcery book, and it's not about Conan.
Oh.
But they're just adapting that story and making it a Conan story. Another one that we're going to talk about today is a similar adaptation.
Yeah. Okay, Conan has lots of red welts on his body.
And when I first looked at this, I thought, oh, was he sick?
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know, some magical measles or something.
Sure.
I don't know what. But he's found by this scumbag, and he's going to rob him.
Yeah.
But robbing Conan's usually a bad idea.
Usually?
Not always. So,
Mike, you're being very generous.
Yeah. So he lets the guy live because the scumbag knows how to get out of there because they're being chased by guards again. And he takes them back, and there's this place where all the criminals hang out, and the criminals are sad because they can't steal anything because there's 7 wizards in this town.
Man, it's a lot of wizards to have around.
It is, and they're different colored. Which is...
You mean like ethnically or?
Sartorially.
Oh, okay.
So, and so crime has come to a standstill because the wizards know everything that's going on.
Man, we need some crime. How are we gonna get rid of these wizards?
Yeah, that's about it. So,
So we learned that Conan has these welts because he fought like a big octopus or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he had like a disease,
yeah.
but
when someone steals something, someone will go to the wizard. Hey, someone stole my golden urn, and the urn will magically disappear and appear from the criminal and appear in the victim's hands. So
wow,
which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So
unless you're the criminal,
right?
Yeah.
So Conan is going to help him fight for the side of crime.
I guess so. Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, Conan is not. He's like a mythology type hero. You out for wealth, to get the girl and power, And in the modern superheroic context, those are the goals of the supervillains.
That's very interesting. Yeah.
You know, monsters in the mythological hero sense, they exist to stop the hero. They are to be the obstacle. And in the superhero context, that is what the purpose of superheroes: stop the villains.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Conan's a cool. That's why people like Conan. He's a pirate. He's a king. He's a thief. He's a soldier. He's a mercenary.
Oh, he kills anybody who messes with him, and he gets all the girls.
Yeah.
Like, of course you're gonna love Conan.
He looks good in a loincloth.
As do I.
No comment. Okay.
You didn't have to say anything. So.
I know. Right,
there's
so
a great montage,
Yeah.
a 2-page splash of Conan's recent adventures.
Because there's a tower he has to go to.
He's
And
recalling all the
goes-
times he has to fight monsters and wizards.
And on a tower and all this stuff, and yeah. Pretty cool. I've read some of these. Some of these are from the books as well.
Yeah, well, I should hope so.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, Conan, it's a comic book. It doesn't have to go with the books. I'm pleasantly surprised when that happens.
Sure.
Man, that is a cool golden snake and a cool vampire bat and a Medusa. And it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The story where
Fantastic.
Conan fights the big ape, I'm sure that's from Robert E. Howard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. But it's great.
Oh, beautiful.
I love he's like, oh man, another tower
Yeah.
and wizards, you know, like,
Right.
and there's a great
Mm-hmm.
flashback on there. So
Okay, so I guess one of his buddies is taken, and he's trying to Cassar. Is that the scumbag, or is that?
I can't remember it.
Neither
Yes,
can.
I think so.
So he's captured and killed, and so that makes Conan mad. Then he finds himself again in an arena, and where he's got to fight for his life. How many times has it been in an arena?
It's in it's in every barbarian movie of every decade. I recently watched. I have this box set of like a lot of sword and sandal pictures, and oh my gosh, it's so many gladiators, so many arenas, so little time.
Right. Yeah. So we finally see the 7 wizards, and they are different colored.
Yeah,
Unless, is that a mask or a face? I don't know.
I don't know either. It's a comic book.
So he's got to fight 3 battles. One of them is against a tiger, and his sword turns into a snake, but he stabs the snake anyway, and it turns back into a sword, so he kills the tiger.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Tiger looks cool too.
Yep.
So then he has to fight 7 dudes. They're wearing 7 different types of color outfits, and it's a pretty cool fight.
So one of each of these guys represents each of the wizards.
Right.
Okay.
And pretty good.
Yeah, he fights them.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, sometimes these fights get boring.
It can be tedious because, like, man, this goes on for a while.
Yeah, but this is done well.
Yeah.
And there's strategies and
Well, yeah, and how does one guy fend off 7 fellas? You know, so
yeah. He fights one swordsman with his bare hands and uses his wristbands with metal and picks him up and throws him.
yeah.
So he defeats them all, and then he's fighting for this girl who's really beautiful, except you don't see her face. And then apparently she's a double bagger because you take the mask off and she's death.
Man,
So I don't know.
when I read double bagger in your notes, I was like, he is not really saying that, is he?
Yes.
He is.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh.
I think that's a horrible thing to say, but yeah, in this case, I would think so.
Well, if it turns out to be death, I guess that's okay.
Yeah.
But I say okay with reservations. So,
Okay. All right.
but let's move on to the next issue.
All right.
So this is Conan the Barbarian number 47, which is the February of 1975 issue.
Mm-hmm.
And the lead story is called Goblins in the Moonlight, written by Roy Thomas.
I just realized how ridiculous that sounds.
Yeah, would you hand me that, please? Thank you.
Okay.
Written by Roy Thomas, but it's adapted from from the novel Kothar and the Conjurer's Curse by Gardner Fox, who was one of the great architects of DC Comics.
Mm-hmm.
And Gardner Fox wrote 4 or 5 Kothar novels, actually in the late '60s, early '70s. So this would be fairly recent material that that Roy Thomas is making into Conan stories. But also, isn't that great? Gardner Fox, you know.
Yeah.
So right on. Here, I'll hand that back. Anyway, but penciled by John Buscema and inked by Ernie Chan. Oh, excuse me, by Dan Adkins on inks.
All right.
This is cool.
Yeah, Conan's with this gal. She's beautiful, of course, and she has a father who's apparently dead.
Oh.
So she wants to leave right now to some altar or something, and Conan doesn't want to do that, and then he finally says, well, I don't want to carry this dead guy around, and then what would you give me in return? And she just looks at him and cocks her eye and says, oh, sex.
Yay!
That'll make Conan do anything.
Most everybody.
Yeah.
So we agree.
Man, the things God will do for sex. Carry around a dead father.
Well, and it turns out he's not really dead anyway, so that's okay.
But it's cool that he takes his blade to the guy's, he puts it in front of the guy's mouth and nose, and he sees no breath on it.
That's an interesting way to do that, but yeah.
Because he didn't have mirrors.
Right.
So, and a good sword has about a mirror finish.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, you talked me into it. That is cool. I enjoy that immensely.
Yeah, I mean it's very suggestive.
Yeah.
But you can get away with it because it's suggestion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And somebody could miss it too.
Yeah, and little kids, oh, he's going to kiss her, or whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
So, I prefer a little bit of suggestion than blatant, and blatant is sort of just
you know, innuendo in mainstream comics is good. Give me the full Monty in Heavy Metal magazine, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is a great magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. Yeah, all it was, I haven't looked at it in
I have a
30 years.
I have a subscription to it in my subscription box. Like anything that's in the anthology format, it's hit or miss. Mm-hmm. I wasn't crazy about the last issue I got, but I should have a newer one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she changes clothes and something even less revealing, or more revealing, excuse me. Yeah. And all right, so they clip clop along and
make out a little bit. And...
Oh no, he kisses her when she's sleeping and lays her down, puts a cover on her. Then they're attacked by goblins. Fight.
Yeah, and these goblins are cool. I think it's interesting because the father is strapped to a board and leaned against like a column.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's about it. And he kills the goblins, gets a kiss from the girl, and yeah, everything's cool. All right.
And they kind of...
I'd like to read what happens next. I guess we don't have the next one.
We don't. Oh. So, interesting thing to note, the reason this issue, that story only takes up about half this issue, because the other pages got lost in the mail, and John Buscema didn't get them in time for the deadline. So they took... we've got a backup story that's a reprint, but it's a good one to kind of fill in.
I wonder if they ever found it.
Oh, I think so. I think they or John Buscema just had to redo them.
Yeah, there's a great drawing of Conan as a young man.
Yeah, as a pinup, yeah. That's another thing to fill out the page count, I think, in this issue. But the backup story I'm referring to is called Sanctuary, and it's a reprint from Tower of Shadows #8, from November of 1970, and this is really a treat because it was written and drawn by Wally Wood.
Yeah, very well drawn. I love the way the mail chainmail looks. It's just really well done.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a king.
Yeah, there's a king, and he gets his crown by stealing it from the dead, and that never goes well. And he decides.
It always worked for me. No.
Yeah, he decides to build this tower.
No.
And he has a Merlin type character.
Yeah.
I can do this, and
man, Woody drew this amazing palace for this guy. The interiors of it is really terrific.
And the dead guy looks cool.
Oh yeah, really ghoulish.
Mm-hmm.
It's excellent.
So the king keeps having these dreams about being attacked. So, I'm being attacked by people on pterodactyls. So let's build a iron roof, and then somebody's digging up from below. So let's put down a really heavy stone floor.
So you can't dig up through. So he's becoming increasingly paranoid through these series of dreams.
And then he's
and he has the workmen killed so that they won't know the secret of certain things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then now he's all safe, and
what he realizes the wizard knows.
The wizard is the dead guy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of...
And it ends in a very Twilight Zone or Tales from the Crypt kind of ending, wherein the king is trapped in the tower and unable to escape.
Right. Yeah, not a bad little bit of comic.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yay.
Yeah. All right.
So our last issue for this episode is Conan the Barbarian number 57. And it's the December of 1975 issue. And the story is called Incident in Argos, written by Roy Thomas, with guest art by Mike Plug. And Mike Plug was best known for his work on Man-Thing, and The Monster of Frankenstein, and Werewolf by Night, and there's another Marvel... Oh, and Ghost Rider, the original Ghost Rider. So he did a lot of the Marvel monster-oriented books in the 70s. He didn't do the full run of Man-Thing, but he did. And we had an issue or two that he did.
All right.
But yes.
Yeah.
And an acclaimed fantasy illustrator in his own right. So.
All right. Conan is with there's a couple of kids. One looks like she's dressed in her pajamas.
I think they're like minstrels or jesters or something like that.
Yeah. And she looks like she's 14 or something.
She probably is.
Yeah. But they go to this city to get to a war, and there's no war, and Conan's really mad because he wants some money. So he deals with the guards and beats them up because they beat up on the little girl, and it's fighting. So they so they gotta change the girl and change her clothes so she'll look different. She doesn't like that, but she turns out okay.
Yeah. What is their plan exactly? They want to like lure or trick somebody into starting a war or fight. So they can...
I think they're trying to get on a pirate ship or something.
Right. Okay. So
the captain of guard who got his butt kicked by Conan is looking out for him, and so he gets trapped.
Conan does.
And let's see what else happens. There's a lot of being trapped and Conan knocked out and all these things. So
sure.
They kind of meld together. So they think Conan's knocked out, and Conan gets up and kicks butt. And then he gets in a nice chase, and some good fighting scenes, and he's squeezing the life out of this guy, choking him to death. And the guy comes back and scratches his eyes, which is, I have never heard of that happening in a comic book. When I think it's really cool.
Sure.
So blood's in his eyes, so he can't see. So he jumps into the river. This old hag, I guess, and comes in, and she tells the future, and the future of him being a captain, not just a pirate, but a captain pirate.
Yeah.
Being a king and having a good-looking babe and being crucified. So, and it's kind of cool. Then he tells, then she shows him that his companions are getting in trouble as well in the tavern, and now they're running.
Huh.
So, pretty neat. Conan's running. They're running. They're being chased. Let's see what happens. he gets captured again. He's put on trial by a fairly lenient judge, but
Even though he's called the maiming, what is he called? The maiming judge?
yeah, but I mean, the judge is fair,
Sure.
and
But Conan says basically up yours because
mhm.
he's not going to sell out his
And he
friends.
yeah, and he beats up all the guards who are wimps anyway.
Yeah.
And let's see. And he escapes. He passes the couple and his friends, and they can't yell out because they'll get caught. So.
Right. So I believe this is where they part company for the duration of the series, to my knowledge.
Right. It's kind of
And this is the direct lead into the Queen of the Black Coast saga, where Conan gets together with Belit and becomes the co-captain with her of her pirate ship.
Yeah.
You know, so
there's a cool scene. The high judge is in a chair.
yeah.
And then you see the back of the chair, and then Conan.
His sword going through the chair and obviously through his head.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah. It's really well drawn.
Yeah.
It's just a fun.
Yeah. Now,
I can do Conan all day long.
Yeah, and as a companion to the regular mainstream comic series, there was the black and white anthology book, Conan. Now I'm going to draw a blank. Talk for a minute while I look it up. Oh, the Savage Sword of Conan.
Yeah.
And anyway, you could get because you can get away with a lot more in a black and white magazine.
Really?
Yeah, you don't have to.
Because it's a magazine.
Yeah, because you don't know comics code. That's how Warren magazines got to, and their imitators got to do horror comics in the '60s. They're like, oh, here's a way to get around the code. You know. Now in like '71, they relaxed the code. And you could have vampires and things in regular comics again. But still, you didn't have to obey the comics code in the black and white mags.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, we had a good time today.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in the funny pages.